I remind you to turn your mic on for us. Or speak into the mic.
Okay. I'd like to, the meeting of the Business License Commission is called to order. We begin to acknowledge that the land on which we gather and that is currently known as the City of West Hollywood is the occupied, unceded, seized territory of the Gabrielino, Tongva, and Gabrielino Keys peoples. And now we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Danny, would you like to lead the Pledge of Allegiance?
Place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, roll call. Can I please get a roll call, Secretary?
Commissioner Cochran?
Here.
Commissioner Ng? Here. Commissioner Hang?
Present.
Commissioner Yusupov?
Present.
And Vice Chair Eisenberg?
Present.
And let the record reflect that Chair Vulin is absent.
Okay, now we'll have the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to tonight's agenda?
Yes, we'll be moving items 9A and B, the election of the Vice Chair and Chair, to right before the public hearing, after public comments.
Okay. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Okay, may I please get a roll call, Secretary?
Commissioner Cochran?
Aye.
Commissioner Ng?
Yes.
Commissioner Hang?
Aye.
Commissioner Yusupov?
Aye.
And Vice Chair Eisenberg.
Aye.
And the item is approved.
Okay, are there any changes to the minutes of June 6, 2023?
Yeah, I have a requested change. It said that I had requested active shooter training for active shooter training in general. I actually had requested active shooter training for businesses specifically, as I do understand that it's already offered to the city as a whole. So I was actually requesting it for businesses.
Okay, are there any other changes? Okay, do we have a motion to approve with the changes incorporated as amended?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, may I have a roll call, Secretary?
Commissioner Cochran?
Aye.
Commissioner Ng?
Yes.
Commissioner Hang?
Aye.
Commissioner Yusupov?
Aye.
And Vice Chair Eisenberg.
Aye.
And the item is approved with the changes.
Okay, now we have public comment. Are there any speakers at this time?
There are no general public comments at this time.
Okay, no one is registered. Okay. All right. Now I guess we're going to have the election of the chair and the vice chair before we go into the first public hearing.
Thank you, Vice Chair Eisenberg and Commissioners, for having me here this evening. My name is Melissa Crowder. I am the City Clerk, and I will be conducting the elections tonight. We'll begin with the chair. I do want to read two things into the record so that the Commission and the public is aware. The term of office of the chair and vice chair shall be for 1 year. A commissioner shall not serve more than one consecutive term as chair. Nothing shall prevent the Commission from removing and replacing the chair or vice chair at any time during their respective terms, provided that the term is properly, or the item is properly on the agenda for the meeting. And if due to extenuating circumstances, a chair or vice chair serves less than 9 months, they shall be eligible to be nominated and re-elected to serve a consecutive term of 1 year at the annual election in July. Additionally, there are eligibility requirements now for the chair and vice chair, and that is a commissioner shall not serve as chair unless they have served on the commission for at least 6 months prior to the election, unless due to extenuating circumstances, someone who has served on the commission for more than 6 months is not available to serve as chair. If no members meet this requirement, nominations will be open to any member of the body for consideration. The current chair of the commission is not eligible for nomination as vice chair. So based on these, everyone sitting at the dais, with the exception of Commissioner Cochran, is eligible, unless the commission desires to make any changes. But otherwise, at this time, I will entertain a nomination for chair.
Madam City Clerk, I'd like to nominate Vice Chair Eisenberg to be chair of the Business License Commission.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second for Vice Chair Eisenberg to be the chair. I will now do a roll call vote unless there are other nominations. Okay, seeing none. Commissioner Cockrum,
Aye.
Commissioner Eng,
Aye.
Commissioner Hang,
Aye.
Commissioner Yusupov,
Aye.
Vice Chair Eisenberg.
Aye.
Your new chair for this next year is Vice Chair Eisenberg. So now we will move on to Vice Chair. Do I have any nominations for Vice Chair?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Commissioner Mark Yusupov.
Okay.
I'd like to second that nomination, please.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for Commissioner Yusupov to be the new Vice Chair. Seeing no other nominations, I will call a roll call vote. Commissioner Cockrum,
Aye.
Commissioner Eng,
Aye.
Commissioner Hang,
Aye.
Commissioner Yusupov,
Aye.
Vice Chair Eisenberg.
Aye.
Your new Vice Chair is Commissioner Yusupov. Congratulations to both of you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, so we have our first item on the public hearing, item 7A, an application by Dobrik's Pizza Sunset LLC, located at 8363 Sunset Boulevard, for an extended hour business license to operate until 3 a.m. on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. I will now open the public hearing on, Secretary, can you please say how this item was noticed?
All notices are posted at the 3 required posting locations and sent to all residents within a 500-foot radius of the business.
Okay.
Madam Chair, or Madam
The note of anybody's,
Madam Chair, I was just going to say, and for members of the Business License Commission tonight, the audio on some of the mics sometimes is low, so please be sure to speak directly and clearly into the microphone so we can capture all your information, and for our audience at home as well. Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Adamides. Does any commissioner have any disclosures to make?
Yes, I do. As was in the last meeting, since I gave public comment on this issue before I was elected or appointed to the Business License Commission, me and city staff have decided that in all transparency and for fairness that I recuse myself from this item. So I don't have to leave the room, but I won't be voting on or participating on this item.
Thank you, Commissioner Cockrum. Are there any other disclosures? Okay. Staff, do you want to give us a report?
Hi, good evening. This is Jessica Benitez, Code Enforcement Supervisor. Also with me is Vito Adamides, our Neighborhood and Business Manager, and also our Deputy City Manager, Deputy City Attorney. I want to give you a promotion, Grace Zio. And also our Sergeant Dudon from the West Hollywood Sheriff's Department, which he was here present, and he's joining us now. So the item, thank you. The item before you this evening is a request for an extended hours license for the hours on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the business Dobrik's, which currently occupies the old Starbucks location at 8363 Sunset Boulevard. So this particular slide, it shows the subject location in red, and then in addition, in the green bubbles, it shows adjacent businesses that have an extended business license with the City of West Hollywood. And then up on top, let me see if my cursor works this time. Oh, it doesn't. But up on top, you'll see the letter P almost at the end of the aerial picture. That is the 1474 North Kings Road, which at the last hearing, there was questions regarding individuals parking and loitering at this particular location. So this is on the north side of the property. Also in this location, you can see in the picture, we did a site visit, and this is a permit-only area. In other words, this is in the City of Los Angeles jurisdiction. If somebody does not have the permit, then the City of Los Angeles Parking Enforcement can go and issue parking tickets at that location. The next slide is pretty much the aerial view, or actually it's a street view of the business. I included a red bubble so you can see the parking spaces. They have 5 parking off-street parking spaces to the west side of the business, door breaks as you can see, and their outdoor dining area. So a couple of things that I wanted to bring to the commission and remind the commission. As stated in the staff report, Dough Breaks began their operation back in November of 2022, has an active public eating business license with no alcohol sales. The business has an outdoor dining area, which part of this application, we are recommending that they close by 2 o'clock in the morning. In addition, they have other various hours operations at this moment, but the business, if they so desired, they would be allowed to operate until 2 o'clock in the morning. They do not have any restrictions, any land entitlements that would restrict them to close before 2 o'clock. Currently the business wishes to extend their hours of operation on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, which pretty much translates Friday, Saturday, and Sundays as the 2 a.m. Begins the following day. Therefore, on the resolution, it shows Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The application packet was reviewed for completeness, and as outlined in the municipal code, the application must be reviewed and approved by the Business License Commission and ensuring that they meet the following criteria. The very first on the screen, as you can see, is A, the business will be operated to minimize impacts on the nearby residential neighborhoods from the late or early morning traffic. The business is in a commercial district. It, as I've mentioned before, it has 5 off-street parking. It has parking meters available on Sunset Boulevard. In response to the concerns raised by the neighbors at the initial hearing, Dough Breaks is negotiating with an adjacent business to provide additional parking spaces. The applicant is present and can speak more whether that has been finalized. Also just want to emphasize that although it is not required by planning division to provide additional parking spaces, but the applicant is doing that to make sure that they cover the concerns by the nearby residents. In addition to that, they have begun a cleanup process in the surrounding areas, and also they've installed signs inside the establishment directing their patrons to the restroom, to the dedicated restroom facilities. One of the things is that this particular business was remodeled back in November of 2022. It used to be a coffee shop, and when they took over this lease, it was fully remodeled. And the building continues to be maintained. In addition, the business has cameras throughout the business, and the applicant is proposing 2 unarmed security guards to be present during the extended hours, which pretty much be from 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. And I want to point out that this exceeds the code requirements because the code only requires a minimum of 1 security guard. Also, what we did is we contacted, as part of this application, the West Hollywood Sheriff's Department regarding any criminal activity regarding the subject location. And what we did is at the initial hearing, we requested the calls from April of 2022 to April of 2023. Because this item was continued, we looked at all the calls for service from April 2022 through June 26 of 2023. There were 17 calls identified out of the 21 calls of service. 17 were identified for the business, which 16 were false alarms, and 1 was regarding a transient or unhoused person disturbing a customer. In addition to that, we compare the calls for service to another similar establishment that has the same hours that the applicant is requesting, which is a pizza shop. And there were 0 calls for service for that particular establishment. I think you know exactly which establishment I'm referring to. It's a pizza place located near Sunset Boulevard and Doheny. In addition to that, we check our city's database, and we identify no noise complaints other other than the 2 complaints regarding trash, and that is something that code enforcement officers are monitoring. Also, we contacted block by block, and they identified 0 calls for service for both establishment for dog breaks and the other similar establishment. One of the things that we would like to do is we would like to condition the business that they close their patio at 2 o'clock in the morning to prevent any noise complaints. On the next slide, you see the operating requirements that if the license is approved, this will be incorporated into their conditions for their business license. Manage on site, light and glare. There are no proposed applications that they're going to be adding any elements and exterior elements that will potentially have any light pollution into the adjacent businesses. Noise, as mentioned before, by them closing their outdoor patio would impact or will pretty much take care of the noise issue. Traffic impacts, there's no anticipated issues with this item, although there was a comment that indicated that there was an increased number of hit and runs, and this is something that it was not part of the staff report. It's not something that we look for the criminal activities at this particular location. Parking, we see no, as I mentioned before, no impacts. I know there's been complaints, and I'll let the applicant talk about what they've done regarding the parking issue. And then as far as the crime prevention, by them having the 2 security guards who are licensed by the state of California satisfies this operating requirement. So with that, we have reviewed the application, reviewed the data from both Sheriff's Department, Code Enforcement, block by block, and therefore we feel and support that the documentation submitted by the applicant supports the requirements under the municipal code. And as such, we recommend that the Business License Commission approves the extended hour business license for Dobrik's with the condition that they close the outdoor patio at 2 o'clock in the morning. So with that, it concludes the staff report, and we're available for any questions you may have.
You know, you mentioned that the notification went out within 500 feet of the business. Are there actually any residents within 500 feet?
Yes, and they went to the businesses as well.
Does that go up Kings Road?
Yes.
Commissioner Hang?
Thank you, Chair. I just had a question. What constitutes a false alarm?
That's my question, too.
I'll defer to our Sergeant Didon.
Hi, good evening. So when we reference a false alarm, those are alarm calls that are generated by an alarm company that the business contracts with. That alarm company would receive an activation at the location where they would notify us. We would respond with deputies. We find that there's no indication of any crime at the location, therefore deeming it as a false alarm.
How is it triggered?
That we don't know. A lot of times alarms have faults, power issues, whatever it is. So it can be triggered in various ways. It just depends with the alarm company. You know, a shadow going across the floor can trigger a motion sensor, for example. With newer businesses, it's kind of like a trial and error to get them set up correctly.
Isn't 16 alarms a lot that they haven't gotten around to fixing it yet?
Yeah, it is a lot. They very well may have an issue or a problem with one of the sensors, and that would be something that they would address with their alarm company.
Okay. Commissioners? Commissioner Euseborough?
So they, you said that they have 5 parking spaces. Are all those 5 parking spaces that they belong to the pizza place and they used by pizza place?
They're on site.
They're on site, and then there are 5.
5, yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Hang?
Thank you, Chair. With the false alarms, since it's repeated, I mean, does the city get reimbursed? That kind of a waste of time to respond back to these multiple false alarms?
So we would basically give that information over to the city. We don't have any part. The Sheriff's Department doesn't have any part in that.
Thank you.
Mr.
That would
Hang?
be, I think, a question for Manager Adamitis then, or for Supervisor Benitez, if whether or not there's anything that the city does in reaction to these false alarms.
We'd be happy to follow up with the applicant and the business to ensure that the false alarm issue is being corrected so we don't get any further false alarms at this location. With regard to the previous false alarms, I'll need to research that and see if the city, in fact, is able to get reimbursement by the businesses. In some cities, there's arrangements for that to happen where they actually get fined for after a number of false alarms. I'm not sure that that's the case here in West Hollywood.
If I can just add, we do have a policy, our revenue division, which is our finance department, handles the false alarms, and they do set an invoice based on the fee resolution approved by City Council.
But we don't know that that's happened specifically here.
We don't know. We need to check with our finance department as far as the billing, but that is something
It
that
would
we
be
check.
great if we could get follow-up on that.
Any other questions? I have a question about the noticing again. Now, because some of the people up on Kings Road said they weren't aware of the hearing, is it in the mail to those addresses as well as being posted on the site?
Correct. They go out in mail too.
Okay, so we don't know why they said they didn't get it or didn't see it. Okay, I think we might want to reserve questions until after hearing from the applicant. Is that me? Okay, is the applicant present? Hi. You'll be provided 5 minutes to speak on your behalf.
Okay, excellent. Good evening, Commission. I am not the applicant. I am the applicant's representative. My name is Matthew Mello. It's a pleasure to be in front of you again. I'll keep this brief. I believe the presentation speaks for itself, as does the success of the business over the past several months. Most of us are aware of the growing pains that the business experienced during their first 6 months or so of operating, and we remain humbled to have this second bite at the apple, so to speak. The owner, Mr. Ilya Fedorovich, is present and has demonstrated his extreme level of commitment and investment to both his business and the neighborhood through his actions over the past few weeks. We did host a community meet and greet at the restaurant on Wednesday, June 28th, and received a very warm reception from the neighbors who attended. A support petition with 16 verified signatures was submitted to the case file this afternoon as evidence of the event's success. For the purposes of this exercise, a verified signature is from somebody who lives or works in West Hollywood. As far as the issues pertaining to the restrooms, the business has clear signage inside the restaurant advertising the availability of restroom keys, and the restroom itself is adorned with a Dobrik's sign, clearly indicating that it's a Dobrik's restroom. As far as the trash is concerned, they've added trash receptacles to collect excess litter. They also have a new policy where an employee picks up litter in adjacent parking lots every half hour approximately. Parking has admittedly been the most difficult issue to enforce. As was mentioned in the staff report, there are some jurisdictional issues up on Kings Road where a lot of those homes are under the purview of Los Angeles Department of Transportation. The applicant and the owner welcome strict enforcement of those policies and is doing everything he can in his power to give them ample parking so that that issue does not arise in the first place. There are also multiple signs indicating where they're allowed to park. There is that deal being worked out with the private parking garage to allow discounted parking for Dobrik's patrons. He's also taken the extraordinary step of changing general management, getting a new general manager to show his seriousness and his willingness to change and bring a new fresh face to his business after such a short time operating. Ilya has been in contact with the owners of Saddle Ranch and Carney's, as well as the neighboring HOA president, to foster a good partnership with all these stakeholders that have previously expressed misgivings or adverse impacts. It is certainly in Dobrik's best interests and their sincere desire to be a welcome addition to the community, not a nuisance. Steps have been taken and will be ongoing to ensure a positive and harmonious outcome with our continued operations. The extended hours on a busy weekend night will give those enjoying nearby nightlife a safe space to decompress and sober up before returning home. Dobrik's is an entity that hopes to be among the numerous WeHo dining institutions that draw countless visitors each year. They understand that managing patron behavior and giving them the tools to behave properly is a vital step to said enterprise. And And I just want to clarify for the record, they are asking for hours on Friday and Saturday night only, not Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that would be Saturday and Sunday until 3 a.m., 2 nights out of the week. As far as closing the patio early, that's something we're very happy to discuss. However, it should be noted that if they were to close their patio, they would then be exceeding their interior occupancy, given the small size of the interior space. But with that, I will yield the rest of my time, and Ilya Fedorovich is here as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Eiderbach, I can't pronounce your name, sorry.
Hello. Great to see everybody. Thanks again for taking the time. As Matthew had just said, I think all of the concerns that were brought up in the previous meetings have been addressed to the best of our ability. I've talked to the property manager, excuse me, the president of the Homeowners Association. I believe his name is Aaron. Him and I are on the same page about the Kings Road trash. I've talked to John, the owner from Carney's. I had a very long conversation with him. I addressed the garbage in his parking lot. I addressed the garbage in his garbage cans from our property. I addressed the parking issue, and I explained to him that, you know, it's we're going to do everything in our best ability and with our best efforts to assure that our customers are not parking in his lot. And the way that we've done that, as the report says, we've talked to the Andes Hotel, gotten a discounted rate for spots at their hotel, and we'll be offering that to our customers and to our employees, along with signage in the front of our restaurant that says that there is more parking available at the hotel. I think that covers it for the most part, and I hope you guys approve our request. Thank you.
Is
Any
your
questions?
general manager here?
No, so he actually starts tomorrow. His name is Cole Riley. He is not present as of right now, but he's starting tomorrow. Along with hiring our general manager, we actually hired an operations manager. His name is Alex, and he comes from 800 Degrees. Extremely well-versed person. He's opened 60 locations for them. He was with them for 12 years, and we were lucky enough to have hired him. He started today, actually. It was his first day, and him along with Cole, along with the new procedures that we've set, we should have a really, really good outcome with the concerns. So.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions? Commissioner Eng?
Got a few. Mr. Mello, and I'm going to say Mr. Mello because it's a really nice thing to just say Mr. Mello. Sounds great. You mentioned that the community meeting had a good turnout. The staff report actually said nobody showed up from the community.
So those signatures were, go ahead.
The meeting actually is what I asked about. Well, we'll start with that and then I'll get to the...
Yes, forgive me if I used that verbiage. I meant to say we received a warm reception from the people who were in attendance at the meeting, and that the petition, the signing of the petition, was initiated at that meeting and continued post-meeting as well.
Okay, but when you say that you had a warm reception, the staff report said no one from the community came at all. So there's a discrepancy somewhere.
That's not my understanding. I don't know that staff was present for the entire 2 hours of the event, but for the time that we were there, those who indicated they were part of the community had a positive response.
Yeah. So throughout that time that we had that meeting, or we had welcomed the people from the neighborhood, throughout the day we had gotten those signatures. I think even the next day and the next day after that. So.
But you didn't get local addresses.
Excuse me?
You didn't get the, like, Kings Road addresses. Was Mr. Kamens there?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, there are a number of signatures on those petitions without addresses.
Correct. Yeah, we didn't ask for a specific address, just we didn't think people would necessarily be comfortable disclosing that, but we did ask if they lived or worked in the West Hollywood community. And then by weeding through those, I saw that 16 indicated yes, the rest indicated no.
Okay.
Then how could the city verify those addresses, if those people, if there were no addresses?
It would just be a good faith.
So in fact, it's not verified.
We verified to the best of our ability without encroaching upon their privacy or their liberties.
And I'll move on from that because I do have another question. But so you're saying that you had a community meeting all day, staff was present for just a little bit of that time?
So it was not all day. I don't recall what the time was. I think it was 2 to 5. Staff was present for about 30 minutes.
Okay, and then the petition that you put forth was done throughout that community meeting? Because it seemed like it was a lot of customers, not necessarily, or at least what I read, seemed like it was a lot of customers versus people in the community.
The petition was made available at the community meeting, which lasted from approximately 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. It was a 2-hour window, but then was made available to patrons post-meeting that day, the following day, and beyond.
Okay. And then the agreement with the Ondas, that is a definite, because the staff report said that you were speaking to them, but it had not been, I think, solidified. Is that?
Yeah, so there's nothing in writing, but we do have a very close relationship with them, and we're certain that that agreement will get done.
I mean, I have to tell you, if and when that does, or when that does, I'll be amazingly impressed because they generally don't want to work with other businesses.
Absolutely, yeah, and we've met with the leadership team there. We were actually gonna be on their hotel menu serving pizza. Yeah, so yeah, we do have a good relationship with them, and I am confident in us making that deal.
Okay, if you're going to be on the menu, I would think that that's a little more likely. And then what are they discounting to?
I believe the daily typical rate is $20, and I think that what we had negotiated was $12.
Okay, and then I'm curious, did you fire Frank?
Yes, he was. Yeah, well, it was, to be honest, it was kind of mutual. I think what he had come into was something he was not expecting, and it was it was mutually beneficial for both parties, I would say. And can I address the false alarms really quick? I know it sounds absolutely insane that we would have this many false alarms. I think they all happen within like a month and a half, 2-month period. I think the problem was twofold. Number one, I do believe we have a faulty sensor, and my team is currently working on getting a new one with ADT. And number two, we have a cleaning crew that comes in after hours, after we close. Each time the cleaning crew comes in, it's a new crew. And at that point, we had not yet figured out a way for them to have a code every time that they walk in. And so, therefore, they would come in, the code would go off, we'd get a call, and the police department would be called out. So that's the reason for those false alarms, and we are currently working on getting that fixed. So they will not be bothered anymore.
Okay, one more question. Go ahead. Okay, Mr. you came up. You actually said that the application would be Friday and Saturday night. City staff said Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. So they're saying 3 days. You just said 2. Which one is it?
I conferred with the applicant, with the owner, and he confirmed it was 2 nights, is what he's requesting.
So if I can add, the initial request was for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. If now you're changing it to 2 days, then that's something that, we need to know. And if that's the change you're making to the commission, then it will be for Friday, Saturday night operation, which translates to Saturday and Sunday, the hours from 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. Okay?
Correct.
Yes, okay. Does that affect the process at all that they're changing now?
It doesn't change the process from us, but I'm looking at our deputy city attorney.
It doesn't change the process, but we might have to revise a resolution to make sure the dates are accurate in there.
Okay. Commissioner Hain?
Thank you, Chair. Were you able to resolve the firearm issue with your security?
Yes, so as of right now, we will be hiring security guards that are unarmed. So yes, that will not be a problem.
And I just want to confirm, you're actually going above and beyond by hiring 2 security guards when our requirement is only 1.
Right, so we're going to start off with 2, and we're going to give it about a month or so to see how that plays out. And if 2 is unnecessary, then it will dwindle down to 1. But obviously, our concern is for our customers, and we want everyone to be safe. So if 2 is necessary, then it should be 2. And if not, then it'll be the minimum 1.
Thank you.
Commissioner Yusbarov?
How many parking spaces does the place have available to customers?
We have 5 currently.
5. And are they first come, first serve, or does someone manage them?
They are first come, first serve.
And what are the changes, like you currently operate till 2 a.m. for since opening. What other changes besides having an additional security guard there will be going forward if this is approved?
Changes aside from the concerns that were brought up, you're asking?
Well, if you could like list all of the changes that you're willing to implement if this application is approved.
Yeah, so along with the changes that we've already implemented of adding an additional employee to circle trash every 30 minutes on Kings Road next to Carney's, and also the Andes agreement, it'll just be standard procedure, but just extended to 3 a.m. So everybody that's going to be working until 2 a.m. will now be obviously working until 3 a.m. and people will be getting out late, and the security guards will be making sure that everybody's safe. So there's nothing significant aside from what we've already addressed that will be changed.
And the security guards that will be hired, are they going to be just doing that duty, or do they have dual duties aside from being a security guard?
No, just no dual duties, just security guard.
And there were some complaints about people parking on the Kings Road and loitering there and eating pizza and leaving trash. So you just mentioned that a cleaning person goes every 30 minutes. And how far on Kings Road they go to clean up that trash?
A few hundred feet, yeah. So we have them go up a few hundred feet up the hill, see if there's any trash, and if there is, then they definitely pick it up. It's honestly not often that we have it on Kings Road. It's more so alongside Sunset, like right outside our restaurant. That's where we see the most trash. But on the off chance that there is trash on Kings Road, we will get that.
And does the security guard also patrol the area, or are they only
No, they are on site.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Commissioner Haig?
Last time you guys were here, the community member that spoke mentioned that they tried to call you to complain, but no one ever answered the phone. Has that been remedied?
I'm not sure what community member you are.
Mr. Kamens.
I have not spoken with him. I'm not sure if you have.
The issue isn't whether or not you've spoken to the community member about the phone, it's whether or not you're answering the phone. That's the question.
I can assure you that if I am getting a call from someone that's complaining, I am answering the phone. I'm not sure what number he's calling exactly or where he's getting that number, but I can assure you that if he does have, if we can somehow get him my number, I can speak with him. I have no problem with that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
How many employees do you guys employ like at one time? Like,
So on days that are slower, it's 3 to 4. Friday nights, Saturday nights, where it's much busier, it could be anywhere between 7 to 9 people at one time.
so where do they park?
Currently, they park either at the Andes, we have special key cards that we gave them, or they try to find street parking. Or a lot of people actually commute via bus or another public transportation way.
So they're not utilizing the spaces that are currently closed?
No, sir.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. Going back to Mr. Kamens, since the last meeting, because he was present here and was the most vocal and has submitted another letter, since that meeting, have you met with him privately or as part of the community meeting?
No, ma'am.
Have you heard from him at all?
I don't believe so. I don't recall it. But like I said, I'm more than happy to meet with him at any moment.
Are you aware he sent in another letter that nothing seems to have changed?
I'm sorry, one more time?
He sent in another letter as part of the staff report that the problems still seem to exist, that he had been talking about before.
Okay, yeah, I'm not familiar with that letter. From my understanding, we did not get any pushback, but...
We have letters from 2 other people on Kings Road as well, with the same issues.
This is the first we've heard of any letters in opposition. We were only made aware of a letter in support that was submitted to the case file. So this is the first we're hearing of any opposition, any documented opposition.
We all got them today. We didn't have them before today. Staff, did you not provide a copy of those letters to our applicant?
All right, sir.
All notices were posted online on the city's website, and I believe when we spoke, it was earlier this morning, and we had only received one notice at that time.
Okay, they should have a copy of those letters if they can be provided. Just so you know, we did get letters with basically saying the same problems exist. I think the fact that you haven't met with Mr. Kamens or didn't reach out to him to come to the community meeting concerns me, since he's the one that made all of the original complaints. As far as who is on the signature list, people do provide their addresses as a matter of course when something is going to be submitted to the city or for official purposes. I don't really see that as an issue of privacy if they're showing their support for the venue. And it did seem that a lot of those people were regular customers, and we know it's a very popular place, and as it should be, we want our businesses to succeed. We want you to be successful. But to make that presentation as community support, I think is stretching it quite a bit, since a lot of those people weren't even from the same state, from the state. And I saw very few West Hollywood residents signed, and even those were not that close to the property. I don't know if some of my comments should wait till our comments here, but I'd just like to address them to you. I happen to live down Sunset, so I pass Dobrik's on a regular basis, and since the hearing, I pay more attention to it. And I'm happy to see that it's very popular and well attended, and people are eating there all the time. But I was coming home the other night on a Friday night after the Hollywood Bowl, so it was, not that late. It wasn't after midnight. But I did see that all of the seats in the outdoor patio were filled, which was great, but there were also a lot of people eating on the sidewalk off of their plates, just standing there on the sidewalk. So I'm not sure if closing the patio at 2 is going to accomplish, certainly for noise, but it's going to accomplish issues of where people go to eat their pizza. Especially the last time they were talking about how the pizza wasn't really given to go, in boxes. People want to eat hot pizza. And so if they don't have an open patio to sit at, they're going to stand in the street. So I don't know if that's a good solution for this. My other concern is the parking. There is a parking lot, I think we talked about it the last time, at 8305. Have you approached them about discounted parking? It seems to be just about as close as the Andes.
No, we've only been in contact with the Andes, so nothing with 8305.
Okay, maybe that's another alternative that you
Absolutely,
could talk to
yeah.
them.
I'm very open to speaking with whoever is nearby and whoever is willing to offer.
If a sign outside that parking entrance said, Dobrik's customers park here, or whatever, discounted, validated Dobrik's customers, something to that effect, I think regardless of whether we extend the hours or not, I think that's something you should look into.
Absolutely.
It seems to be equal distance as, to your property. Are there any public speakers?
Yes, we have one public speaker, Aaron Kamen.
Okay. Yes. Oh, no. I don't think so.
Hey, thank you for your time again. And Mr. Cockram, I think that was very fantastic that you recused yourself because I was here the last time. Kudos. I'm going to throw away my prepared remarks. I'm happy to answer any questions. I just think this is exactly what it is. I have nothing against Dobrik's, nothing against pizza, nothing against successful businesses. I'm a small business owner myself. I want them to do great. I want them to be successful. I think if they worked out their issues, they would probably be more successful. We weren't nobody in the community was invited to this meet and greet or whatever it was. And it's crazy. He doesn't even remember talking to me on July 5th on the phone. You guys just asked him, did you even talk to Mr. Kamen? And he said, no. I was like, so again, I'm at a loss for words. Again, I want them to be successful, but it would just be great if, well, it doesn't belong in that spot, but that's not why we're here. I just feel like they're not ready to handle more hours, let alone the hours that are there. Happy to work with them to make it great. I want their business clean and customers to be happy too, so let's just figure it out. But nobody seemed interested in working with us until this new application came back.
Can we ask questions of Mr. Kamens? Is that Grace? Is that okay? Okay, Commissioner Eng?
Yeah, there's a few things that I want to break down, but I'm going to go off of what you just said versus what you sent in, because I would like to actually, if we could discuss both. So you contend that you never were aware of the community meeting?
I live probably 1,000 feet off of Sunset, so I'm not within this 500-foot radius.
Okay.
So no, but I mean, again, side note too is, it is ridiculous, the 500 feet, because it affects a lot more people that are within the immediate area, but no. So I'm 1,000 feet, I didn't get it.
So on the map, actually, that you sent, something that I noticed is that you circled an area, I think the parking lot of like around 1,400?
It's in front of my house, 1474.
Okay, and you're saying that, I mean, it's like 4 blocks away, so people are walking up 4 blocks and a hill as well.
The hill as well. That's why, also, no, I don't see anybody picking up. They are cleaning, and I said to him on the phone, thank you, I'm noticing you are cleaning up. That's great. Again, so I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. I mean, I just think it's a little, I find it a little odd that people are, I mean, I just know people, I walk a lot, but people don't in LA, like I noticed that. And it would seem parking 4 blocks away
is crazy. But I think people don't want to pay 20, there's not enough parking, right? There's not enough street parking. Yeah, so nobody wants to pay, I wouldn't want to pay $20 to run it. I mean, that was an issue when it was a Starbucks.
Well, then how do you know that they're going to Dobrik's?
I have all these cameras for my house, and we see, first of all, I've been there for 21 years. The patterns of who does what is very familiar to me. So when I see, 2 cars caravanning and 8 kids get out, walking down, and it used to be that they would come back and either throw the Dobrik's trash in my neighbor's trash, or they leave it in our community parking lot. So it's pretty obvious.
That lot, is it a public lot, or what kind of lot is that?
It's permit only from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m.
It's a city lot, or what? Or for the
No, it's residential, like a preferred parking area. So like we have passes from 8 p.m.
Commissioner Hain?
Thank you, Chair. So I just wanted to confirm you are noticing the establishment make changes by cleaning, right?
Yes,
You just said that a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So seems to me that they're making strides to try to
Look,
be
I
better.
think strides is your choice of words. You also said to me last time I was here, you were upset that when I said I spoke for a residential association, you were upset that more of us weren't here. And it's like, that's representation. That's what I was doing on their behalf. Just like, sure, it's great. I'm so happy that they're picking up trash, but I would call it what it is. They're picking up their own trash.
Well, is there other trash they should be picking up?
No. Just their own stuff. I think that's great.
Okay, but so then it would seem that the only issue still existing is parking, because if trash is being remedied, then parking and noise would, I think, were the other things.
Yeah.
But
So what are your current objections?
The parking and just the basic, it's starting, well, okay, I'll just keep it simple. The parking.
Now, I realize that LA doesn't enforce city streets the way West Hollywood does.
No, and we can't call West Hollywood for noise complaints. We can't call West Hollywood for parking issues.
One of your neighbors wrote that they thought West Hollywood should be ticketing up Kings Road. I mean, I'm not aware that that's something we would be able to do.
Commissioners, if I may remind, we thank you for the questions and the responses, but just in the interest of the procedures, we'd like to remind you to narrow down the questions to specific clarifications needed on his public comment and on the specific findings that are required for this item. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Camus.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. I think we'll close the public comment portion.
Vice Chair, before we do that, we have a caller on Zoom,
Oh,
so
sorry
let me
about
call him.
that.
Thank
Sorry
you.
about that. Okay.
Please unmute yourself.
Jamie Francis. Hello.
Yes, hi, Jamie.
You may proceed.
Thank you. This has happened since March. Please, Chair, along with your predecessors, I've been trying to talk about this matter. It was more than just Mr. Kamen, but I'm very frustrated because here we are 3 months later and it's my first opportunity. So I live off of Sunset Boulevard as well, at least, as you know, and I deal with a property with Pinch's Tacos that's technically in Los Angeles. And the same thing happens with parking and everything else. And I like to run and walk up and down Sunset, and that's the issue. And you made a good point that people are going to stand in the sidewalk. They're going to loiter. They're going to be impatient. It's like Prince's. I know that a lot of people don't want to mention that. They have a protocol, and it's more an area of business, and it's not directly approaching residences. But the point of the matter is that I have to deal with it on a regular basis. I try to speak to the establishment I live near, and they don't want to hear it. So I have to deal with trash and litter a lot, and it's frustrating. When you want to walk on Sunset Boulevard, you don't want to encounter pedestrians. I have to walk in the street. I've had to say, please don't, throw trash, but more specifically, please don't smoke in my face. And I just don't like a business based on a portmanteau that's named after somebody who's a YouTuber who wants to have fame, who wants to have the spotlight, and then he has representatives and the owners, and they do things at will. Oh, we try to mitigate this. We try to mitigate that. I don't care about celebrity status and people trying to open up an establishment, thinking they're going to make money. This all comes down to money-making propositions and what they're going to do for their business. And then you have someone like Mr. Kamen who talks on behalf of his other residences and their homeowners. Just think of the public at large, that we want to, have the desirability of frequenting our neighborhood as well. It's not the homeowners north of Sunset and south of Sunset, but that's how it is. And it's frustrating because we should be equal. And we reside, but it should be who makes more money and who's the renter.
Thank you for your
So,
comment.
I feel weird that-
Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. It's 2 minutes. 3 minutes. Thank you. Are there any other speakers?
They're not.
Okay, then we'll close the public comment portion and bring the matter back to the commission for discussion and deliberation. Would anyone like to start? Commissioner Eng? Commissioner Hang?
Thank you, Chair. Since the last meeting, I actually wanted to thank the applicant for sending Frank the first time because it provoked this very robust presentation that you guys presented to us today. So thank you. At the last Business License Commission meeting, Mr. Fedorovich said he would come prepared and come with solutions, and it is my firm belief that he did tonight. Parking was an issue for the wider community. He made an agreement with the Andaz Hotel to help with that. According to Mr. Camus, they are also cleaning, picking up trash, actually being seen by the community doing so. I do believe, and these are my words, the establishment is making great strides, and it is my intention to vote yes on this item. Thank you.
Commissioner Yusupov?
Yeah, I wanted to comment. So we have a business that's currently operating till 2 a.m. already, and the issues that neighborhood that has with them, not necessarily going to go away just if they are working till only 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. So the way ideally want to see it, if the business, by hearing these complaints, does make real changes that improve the business, not necessarily only beyond 2 a.m., but before 2 a.m. Period when they are open. I also agree with Chair Eisenberg that closing the outdoor patio doesn't make any sense. That patio faces sunset, and if you're closing it after 2 a.m., you're limiting the space where the people can actually eat pizza and maybe pushing them utilize the sidewalk even more. So having said that, I don't know if we can make, they are changing their application from 3 days to just 2 days, and looks like they are making really good progress with cleaning the area around. That's a plus, but I'd like to see these minor changes as well, like maybe reviewing whether keeping the patio actually makes more sense and it's better for the neighborhood, and also what else can be done to alleviate parking issues. Maybe have one of the staff members manage the existing parking spaces and facilitate cars moving faster to make sure that cars are not taking up the space for the entire night, or any other changes that can help to alleviate the neighborhood issues. So those would be my comments.
Okay, Commissioner Ing.
Thank you. Actually, Commissioner or Vice Chair Yusupov, I actually agree with both you and the chair that it would actually make more sense to keep the patio open, because then people wouldn't loiter, and it would seem, again, on Sunset Boulevard, like that would be the way to go. Mr. Kamen, I do want to address something that you said about Commissioner Hang being angry. I wouldn't say that. I think that the point he was trying to make to everyone at large is that we do listen to the community, and when we see only one person, sometimes it doesn't carry as much weight. What you presented in your note, I just wanted to make a few comments about that. I appreciate all the due diligence that you did. You did a lot of work on it, obviously. I mean, I think that, hit and runs on Sunset are going to just happen, and I don't think we can attribute it to this pizza parlor. It would seem that that's something, I saw the comparison of the stats from 22 to 23. In 22, we were still somewhat shut down, so I don't really think that has the credibility that you meant for it to have. In terms of Dobrik's, again, if you really do get this agreement with the Andaz, I'll be incredibly impressed. And I would say that you really do need to answer the phone. I don't know what's happening there, but it seems that, that people are trying to call. I think I voted no last time. I am inclined to support it now because of some of the changes that I've seen you make of the business itself making. Mr. Kamen, you yourself have acknowledged that they are picking up the trash. I think parking on Sunset is something that I don't really see being remedied by one business. So I think the only thing left within your complaints that seems to make sense to me is really about them being more receptive to the neighborhood and doing things like answering the phone.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, I just have a couple of comments. I would just like to say I'm okay with one person representing a community, since it's often me and my community, and no one else comes to show up. So I think that's just fine, especially since there are a couple of letters that from nearby neighbors that are in support. I know it's very difficult to get other people to come out, especially in a residential area like is up on Kings Road. My concern is, again, about the parking. I think it's great that you're pursuing the Andaz parking. I think please look into the 8305 discount as well. I think a sign at the bottom of Kings Road, and I don't know if Queens Road is impacted at all, saying no Dobrik's parking, if you can put something like that up. I'm still concerned about extending the hours until 3. You're a new business, you have a brand new general manager, you're putting in new procedures, you've only been open less than a year before asking for this extended request. I would feel more comfortable if you came back to us in 6 months or so and see if a lot of these problems have been alleviated. I think parking is always going to be an issue. There's a lot of tourists that are coming to your area, a lot of young people. They don't know the area. I also live above Sunset on a dead-end street, and we're constantly having people looking for free parking, and I think that's what's impacting Kings Road. People don't see the permit parkings. They know there's no meters. It's pretty much an insurmountable problem that isn't going to go away, and your patrons are primarily out of town or from the other side of the hill. I'm sure there's local patrons too, but given your social media presence, that's, I believe, what's attracting most of the customers to your area. So I don't know how my other colleagues will vote, but I would be more comfortable seeing a lot of these new processes in place and working more. You know, we don't really have any history now with your new manager. I think that's great. Unfortunately, your previous manager didn't make the best, wasn't the best representative for your company. So I think it's good that you've made that change. But we have a new one. Granted, he has a lot of good experience, but I would like to see more time and experience. An extra 1 hour, I don't think it's going to impact, you know, for 2 days a week. I don't think it's going to be a huge loss for your company for 6 months until you work out all of these other problems. That would be my recommendation. Commissioner Usborough?
I have a question for staff. So if we'd like to make some changes or adjustments to the application, like, for example, about the outdoor patio or any other changes about, you know, the parking and other requirements, is that something we can do as a motion to modify, or would that be a different hearing?
Yes, you could propose a motion to approve the resolution and then propose the amendment to the resolution, and it would be approved as modified.
Okay, thank you.
With the appropriate votes, of course.
The other question I have is, can the application right now, if it is approved, it's approved for 1 year, and then upon renewal, it's not going to come back to the commission, correct? And can we make the amendment where we give it for a certain period of time, and after a certain period of time, be it 6 months or 1 year, it comes back to the commission for reapproval?
Our recommendation would be to approve it for 1 year, which is the standard process for West Hollywood, and just have the applicant come back pursuant to the proper procedures instead of making it a condition.
Bear in mind, Commissioner Usborough, once something is granted, it's not usually taken away.
So what happens when they do come back? What power do we have at that time?
Well, if this application is approved, then we'll issue the license, and for renewal, they don't come before the commission, just like any other license.
And what kind of amendments to that can we make?
If I'm hearing that you like to make a condition that we do a report back as far as how they're doing, that is something that definitely the commission can make an amendment to that, to add that condition to this resolution.
And let's say if they're not doing great, what power do we have at that time?
If you what, I'm sorry?
If they do come back after a certain period of time and they're not doing great, the complaints only increasing, what power do we have to change that approval that was granted?
Well, typically when a business is not doing well and code enforcement, our team, we have to issue citations, then the item is initiated by staff to bring the item back as a suspension or revocation of the business license.
So
But to answer your initial question, I just wanted to add that. I'll defer to Grace.
Right, just to clarify, the item wouldn't come back for an update, as in giving the commission the power to revoke or make amendments to the conditions. It would strictly be an update for informational purposes. But for everything else, the license would be granted for 1 year, and the staff would make appropriate, renewal procedures. And if needed, and if the business is not doing well, then the staff would approach that via the code enforcement and other measures. And if the staff feels it's necessary, then they would bring it back as an item before the commission.
Basically, once it's granted, it's granted.
Well, that's why I keep asking. Maybe I'm not phrasing it correctly.
Okay.
What I want is, instead of simply denying it, is there an option where we can approve it conditionally for a certain period of time, so we can see how they are doing? Because a lot of changes they're planning to do, including their new manager, including the parking with the hotel, those things didn't happen yet. So we don't know if those going to be successful or not.
That's why I recommended 6 months from now.
Exactly. So what I'm trying to do, so instead of telling them come back in 6 months, is there an option for us to actually approve it for 6 months and then review and see if it was actually improved and done better?
Madam Chair and members of the commission, the short answer to your question, Commissioner Yusupov, is no. The item before you is for an approval of a permit, and that permit is for the time period of the year. In addition, we as staff would continue to monitor the subject property for the conditions that are granted under this permit. If we found that the operation is not in compliance with those conditions, we, staff, would bring that back to the commission. But there's the item before the commission tonight has the approval in it. It's not a conditional approval that I think you're asking for. So it's not a conditional approval.
No, I'm asking like if the commission has a power to amend it as such, so it will become a conditional approval, or whatever way you call it.
I'm not aware of the commission having the purview or the authority to amend the city's approval process for the permit before you tonight.
And what amendments then we can make?
The amendments would actually have to tie into the findings necessary, so it could be for the days of operation, the patio opening, that, the closing of the patio, that could be a condition, but not so much for the length of the license or adding those other conditions to it, which are under the staff's purview.
And same as like establishing successful parking cannot be made as a condition, right?
The parking issue actually is part of the condition, and it's actually part of the code. And as part of the resolution, it does actually represent that they would have to comply with a certain municipal code of West Hollywood, and that includes the parking requirements.
Okay, and that brings me another question. If I remember correctly, the first presentation, maybe I misheard it back then, but I thought they only had they had less than 5 parking spaces, because some of those spaces were used by valet parking at Saddle Ranch. Is that correct?
Now, the valet company is on the other side, is on the west side of the lot. So these 5 parking spaces are dedicated to this business.
Okay.
And also just want to remind to the commission is that the use of the restaurant has been approved by the planning division, so they already meet the parking requirements.
Okay. Well, go ahead, and then maybe I'll...
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. If my colleagues would indulge me, I would like to make an amendment to the motion to maybe add in a 6-month check-in. That way we can see the fruits of the business's success as they continue to be better with themselves and with the surrounding community.
Get that. Okay, so well, that part I do get. I do understand that. But actually, city attorney, you actually mentioned that we could tie conditions into what had been presented. If we're now debating the patio being open, can we utilize that to be the condition in which we re-review?
My apologies. I don't
Yeah,
understand
you
the
know,
question.
Okay. So we, three of us commissioners were saying we actually think the patio should be open, and they didn't actually concur with that, although I would think they would. But can we tie the condition of review to that patio being open? In other words, like you said that the condition has to be tied to the application, right? So if they, I don't know if they had asked for it originally, but there was a condition that was put in that the patio be closed. If we revise that and say that we think the patio should be open, can that be a condition in which we can review in 6 months?
Okay, I think I understand the question. So just to make sure I understand, you want to impose a condition that the patio be open during the extended business hours. Is that accurate?
And then we would tie the condition of review to the patio being open.
I don't understand that.
Well, my question, can we bring applicant back now for a few more questions? No, or is it?
Yeah, I'm sorry, the public hearing is closed, so.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we can impose a condition to keep the patio open, but as to the review, there really can't be a review to revoke or make additional changes to the approval, right? Like it would be a 6-month update, like there could be an update.
Let me just interject here. I think what you're trying to do is give them approval, but you want to come back. I think the only way to really accomplish that is not approve the amendment tonight, but request that they implement all these changes and let everything get functioning, and then we take another look at it 6 months. And maybe at that time they would come back saying we'd like the patio open, that at that point. But at this point,
Or other option, we can impose certain conditions, and if the applicant agrees, we will modify or amend the approval, and then with those amendments, then it can be approved.
Madam Chair, Madam Chair, and members of the Commission, we're not negotiating conditions of approval here before the Commission tonight. Staff has conducted a review of the application. We have conditioned the application before you. We can make some amendments, including the item regarding the patio and the number of days that the applicant is now is requesting to stay open. Those changes we can make. However, with regard to conditionally approving the application and waiting for the applicant to come back in 6 months, that's not before the Commission tonight. Staff, as I indicated earlier, and I'll restate it, the application would be, if the Commission voted tonight to approve it, staff for the next year when that license comes back for renewal with staff, the business license, we would continue to review that application, this operation that's being considered tonight, for compliance. If we found that the license and the applicant were not in compliance, staff, not the Commission, staff would initiate a return of that application to be brought for the Commission for either revocation or suspension or any other appropriate action before the Commission. So staff would trigger that process, not the Commission.
Sorry. So do we at that time we have the right to revoke if the staff brings it back? Yes. Okay. And we can make the amendments such as outdoor patio being open. What was the other one?
For tonight, and the number of days that the applicant indicated tonight, instead of 3, we could make those 2 changes.
Can we also ask them to, after the place is closed, to have the cleaning crew go up the Kings Road and clean the parking spaces?
They're already doing that. I don't think that needs to be added as part of the condition, because that area is not in the city of West Hollywood. You can't condition a project to do something that's not within your purview, which is in the city of West Hollywood, not in the city of LA.
So if they stop doing that, nothing you guys can do either. If they will all of a sudden decide not to clean it anymore, nothing we can do because it's outside West Hollywood.
From a code enforcement standpoint, the violation is occurring outside the city of West Hollywood, not in the city. It's occurring in the city of Los Angeles, not in the city of West Hollywood. Our jurisdiction only is within the city of West Hollywood.
With that said, some of the grounds for revocation does broadly and potentially encompass that, but we can't explicitly require the business to go and clean outside of the city. But some of the grounds for revocations, for example, it says that the licensee and employees, agents, or manager have failed to maintain the business in a neat and clean condition, or that the licensee, licensees, employees, agents, or managers have allowed or failed to prevent its business patrons to engage in criminal or unlawful activity. So for certain certain circumstances that fit under those conditions, there would be grounds for revocation if the staff did bring that item back to the commission.
If those violations would occur, we would be aware of that. Or the city would be aware of those violations, even if they're occurring outside the city perimeter.
We would only know if they were reported to us, but even if they were reported to us, it's not a violation of the City of West Hollywood Municipal Code. It's occurring outside of the City of West Hollywood. Our purview and jurisdiction is only within the City of West Hollywood.
I have to say, let me just interject here. I think there are still concerns that are not going to be alleviated. I think expecting staff in violations to reach the level where it would come back to us is slim to none, in all fairness. I mean, and if you're expecting us to have any kind of authority in a year from now, I don't think that's realistic. I think the only way that we can feel more comfortable is, as I suggested, and I'm sorry for the inconvenience for the applicants, but I do think these are outstanding concerns that we have. And let's give them another 6 months. I mean, the 1 month that we had really wasn't enough. They just made changes. A manager starts tomorrow. So we haven't really seen the results of any of those changes. I really think it's to everyone's interest to give them another 6 months to bring all of their processes under their current operating agreement at 2 o'clock, which is still very late. And then if everything is working out, if there are minimal complaints, I'm not saying there will be no complaints, at that point, we can take another look at it and determine about granting the request. Commissioner Hang?
Thank you, Chair. You know, I appreciate this very colorful discussion. From what I'm hearing, it all starts from the top. And the top is here tonight explaining that he's made strides and improvements to his business. They've reached out to the Ondas. They found parking. That was an issue. They're sending their people out in the streets to pick up trash, which is probably a danger in itself and a liability, but they're doing it. And I believe that, and I just also wanted to note my amendment that I mentioned earlier for a 6-month check-in for staff to report back to the commission on how the business is succeeding in accomplishing these goals. So I just wanted to note my amendment. Thank you.
That's toothless. Wait, okay. Okay, Commissioner Hang.
So I think I understand what's being conveyed by my commissioners. And I think what's really happening is that, Manager Adamitis, you're letting us know that we really can't push back in that way. I understand that completely. But I'm wondering if we are asking for the 6-month check-in and we have a report from staff at that time, can the commission then weigh in with, we want staff to take action about whatever's happening? I mean, I think
She answered that. The answer is no.
It's still no.
It's no.
Okay, because I think the thing that we're trying to avoid is asking them to come back again, because essentially what happens every time they do this is that they have to pay for, fees and appeals and postage and all that other stuff, and I think that's what makes us a little uncomfortable. So if I understand essentially that city attorney is saying no, that we don't have the power, but if we do invite it to come back and we amongst ourselves do some research, recon, reach out to the community, whatever, look online for social, if we find that we don't believe that all of the conditions have been met, could we not then, when we get the report from staff, say or insist that, you know, that action needs to be taken? Like, I know that staff is saying they're going to look that all of the requirements have been met, but that sometimes happens, but not to the satisfaction of the interpretation, if that makes sense.
It does, and thank you, Commissioner Eng, for your comments. Staff is respectful of the Commission's purview and authority. In that purview and authority, the Commission cannot direct staff on the application before you. Once it's been approved by the Commission, staff goes through the review process and ensures that the applicant is complying with the conditions that were granted by this Commission. The Commission does not provide direction to staff on returning this or any other application back to the Commission. The action before the Commission tonight is a consideration of the extended hour business license for Dobrik's. It's been properly conditioned. I've heard of a couple amendments tonight that have been discussed with regard to the patio and the number of days of operation for the applicant. We're happy to incorporate that into the resolution and approve as amended. Once that Commission action is taken and you have confirmed that through your vote, then it's staff's job from that point forward to conduct the monitoring to ensure that it's in compliance with all the conditions that were granted. If we find that it's not, then staff would initiate a return to the Commission for revocation or suspension of the license. That's the process that I'm familiar with, and respectful of the role of staff and respectful of the Commission's role as well. I think we should stay within those purviews in order to be clear in our respective roles, not only for the applicant, but for the Commission and for members of the public. I think it's uncomfortable for staff to support any deviation from that.
Okay, Commissioner Hay.
I just want to say that, you know, we have excellent staff. I know that Mr. Adamitis has reached out to the applicant and discussed multiple times. I do believe staff know what they're doing. If they do find some findings later on, which I'm hoping, and I'm sure that they won't, because this business is trying to be better, staff will do their job to correctly remediate any situations. So that's why we have staff, and that's why we have this process. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess, does anyone have a motion? I would like to make my motion that we postpone this for 6 months and give them an opportunity to bring everything up to speed. If it's not second, does anyone else have a motion?
I would like to make a motion to move forward with the resolution with the amendment of a simple 6-month check-in so that staff can inform the Commission on the success of the establishment. And if it's legally possible to add the stipulation with the patio, because I think that would actually greatly help their business and help the community at large, if that's even possible.
And to clarify, the 6-month check-in would be an informational update from the staff as opposed to a review by the Commission. Would that be correct?
Yeah, I believe staff made clear to the Commission last month that that's the only possible route. So that's, but I do believe that, you know, I think it'll be a success. So it is my hope that my colleagues support this, and we have to support our local businesses and see them grow. And maybe there will be 30 Dobrik's across California in 5 years' time.
Commissioner Hang, I would like to, for clarification, have staff confirm the condition number 3 in the resolution that we're asking to be removed. And I would also ask for staff to confirm the exact number of days. We went from 3 to now 2. I would like for staff to provide clarification on the days of the week that 2 days applies, so we can make the corresponding changes in the resolution.
So a couple of things from what I'm hearing, and obviously that is something that the commission would have to put that as an motion, right? So what I'm hearing is the resolution number 23-004 will amend it to only include, to allow hours of operation of a restaurant to be extended until 3 a.m. on Saturdays and Sundays, as the applicant stated. Condition number 1 will read to eliminate the approved extended hours are Fridays, that's going to be eliminated, and stay Saturdays and Sundays until 3 a.m. Eliminate condition number 3 regarding the outdoor patio, which is prohibited during the extended hours of operation. And adding condition number 3, where it says a six-month update will be provided to the Business License Commission for compliance with the conditions, or some sort of language like that.
An informational update.
Information update, okay. Will be provided to the Business License Commission.
I actually like to. So we have this business that came to us second time. They are on Sunset, so that's one of the major streets in the city. So if extended hours should be approved, that would be a prime location, just because it's a Sunset Strip. Now, at the same time, we should be receptive to the complaints from the neighborhood, and even if those people on Kings Road are not necessarily in the city, we should be hearing those objections. My feeling that the business is trying to be better, business is implementing those changes, and even though some of those changes are very recent and maybe it's too early to judge, I guess I'm willing to give them, put some faith and believe that they're going to do better. I'd like to add to Commissioner Hang's amendments, if possible. So in addition to the outdoor patio to be open, and they're going to have 2 security guards. So if possible, at least one of them patrol the area, not necessarily station all the time at the business place, but patrol the immediate area, and possibly maybe even go up the Kings Road and make sure that there are not people loitering or making noises after hours. So that would be one of the things, and I don't know how to properly, what the verbiage would be, and if what the amendment would be, and if we can even have that, but that would be a nice change.
Commissioner Yusupov, we cannot condition an applicant to do things outside of the city of West Hollywood. So asking them to patrol the area on Kings Road outside of the city of West Hollywood is not within the purview of this commission. It's not a condition we can apply.
Within the city, though? Within the city.
If I can just interject, we actually have condition number 4, where it says a security guard shall patrol the parking areas between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. during the approved extended hours of operation to address any loitering, nuisances, or noise issues in the parking areas.
So that answer, within the city, yes.
Okay. Okay, then within the city, and I think it would be beneficial to the applicant to just go beyond a little more the city. I know we cannot condition that, but that would be a wise thing to do. So with those things,
Add a condition then. Can you put the sign at the bottom of Kings Road, no Dobrik's parking? Okay.
So with those changes and with the understanding that they're going to come back for the check-in, whatever way you guys going to word it.
The item that we'll do will be an informational update for the commission.
Update, yes. So I think with those changes and amendments, I would be inclined to support this then.
Commissioner Haynes' motion.
Okay, should we take a vote?
Just for clarification for the minutes, who made the first motion that I read? And this
Commissioner
is the
Hang.
motion, so
Commissioner Hang.
Mr. Hank, okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Now we can have a roll vote.
Commissioner Ng,
Somewhat reluctantly, but I'm going to vote yes.
Commissioner Hang,
Aye.
Commissioner Yusupov,
Aye.
and Vice Chair Eisenberg.
No.
So the item is approved as amended to indicate the approved extended hours is only for Saturdays and Sundays until 3 a.m. Elimination of condition number 3 of the outdoor patio, and is replacing with a 6-month informational update will be provided to the Business License Commission from the issuance of the license. Number 4, within the city limits, that it's going to read, a security guard shall patrol the parking areas between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. during the approved extended hours of operation to address any loitering nuisances or noise issues in the parking area within the city limits.
Okay.
Also, just for records, those that wish to appeal the citation, they can appeal the determination within 15 calendar days to the city clerk's office. Thank you.
Okay.
Congratulations. And I hope you're not required to come back for the 6-month check-in, but if you want to come and listen to your successes be broadcast in the chambers, you're more than welcome.
Thank you.
Item number 8, unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business? I don't think we do. Okay, new business. Oh, we did that already. Any items from the staff?
Madam Chair and members of the Business License Commission, just a few items for you tonight. First off, want to share with you National Night Out, August 1st. This is an opportunity to build a safer community, know your neighbors, and know your law enforcement. This is promoting, it's a nationwide event, and its intent is to promote community and law enforcement partnerships. So our code enforcement team will be available and working that night, so I look forward to seeing many of you in the community on August 1st. Also, at your August 8th Business License Commission meeting, we will have our study session item that I indicated we were wanting to have with the entire commission. So with the action of the City Council on July 17th, we will have the 7th and final at-large appointment made, and so we should have the full 7 members of the commission, with Anthony Vullen also back at that time as well. So we conduct the study session with the entire commission present. I think that will be a good opportunity for all of us. Also this Thursday, there's a virtual community meeting on the city's hazard mitigation plan update at 6 p.m. It's an important process to provide feedback. I have flyers if anybody is interested. I'm happy to hand those out for on behalf of Margarita Kustanovich and our Community Safety Department. So I have some here for you if you would like, or if there's anybody. I only see one person in the audience at this point. But I still have them in case anybody wants. So happy to share that. Also, save the date per our city clerk, Melissa Crowder. This is the annual Congress of Commissions and Boards. It'll be August 23rd from 6 to 9 p.m. So save the date on your calendar. I believe there'll be further communication from the city clerk's office.
That's
Again,
a dinner, isn't that correct?
August 23rd, not sure
No,
if it's
the
a dinner,
event.
but I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
it's an event.
Yeah. okay.
Yes. And you will get updates from the city clerk with the time, location, and everything related to that. So I promised our city clerk I would mention this, and I wanted to make sure that I shared this with the commission. And lastly, at your August commission meeting, we will also provide, staff will provide an update on our cannabis business licenses and how that is going on here in the city. So we'll provide that information update as well. This concludes the updates from staff.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Adimonis. Okay, are there any items from commissioners?
I have no items, but I want to say congratulations to our chair. I'm really excited to be serving with you. I don't know that there are that many female-led commissions, so I'm thrilled to see that. Also, I consider you an absolute badass, so I'm thrilled to see you in this
That's
position.
been said before.
And it's an absolute compliment coming from me. Also, to Vice Chair Yusupov, congratulations. I'm very happy to see you as our Vice Chair.
Thank you.
Both of you have been very, very helpful and welcoming to me when I joined the commission, so I'm very happy to see this. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, Commissioner Cockrum, you haven't spoken tonight.
And I doesn't turn on. There we go. Yeah, I have nothing to say other than I'm excited to, now that we're done with Dobrik's, to participate in some discussion on something. So hopefully next meeting there will be something that I can contribute to. Congratulations on becoming chair.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Vice Chair. We skipped over the public comment section of the meeting.
Oh, sorry.
We have someone online. We wanted to
Okay.
just make sure we didn't miss anyone.
So we have one call on Zoom. Extension 9751, if you could please unmute yourself or during public comments.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you. You called me before. I just wanted
Identify
to
yourself,
reiterate-
Jamie. Identify yourself.
Yes, Jamie Francis Wendell, resident of Sunset Boulevard. I just wanted to say to the chair, along with other people, know that I'm calling over the phone and to not, because I've literally invested almost an hour and 40 minutes. And I finally did speak, but was almost missed when the public comment was closed. I just want to urge the commission to be cognizant and aware of that. I didn't even get to speak at length because of it, of the matter of Dobrik. So please be aware, I will see some of you at National Night Out, and I know that people who are already in the community or have been invested, that those of us that have lived there long term, who basically feel like we're outsiders or that we have to kind of re-emphasize, and hopefully the staff is aware of that. Just keep aware that someone wants to speak. And I appreciate the matter, but I'm a little disappointed this evening, so please do a better job. I do appreciate it, and just to let you know, I didn't want something to, I was against it. I don't think we need an extended hour of it. I think that there's more problems, but for people that have their own interests, it just shows that it was dissected with the commission and that they're trying to do this, but I just was against it and wish that was voted down. So I do appreciate to keep things in consideration for future meetings, that if I call, I won't have to wait an hour and a half. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments?
There are none.
Okay, continue with public staff commission comments. Commissioner Hang.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to congratulate our new chair and our new vice chair. They're actually the veterans on the dais. They've been here the most out of all of us, and I trust that your leadership and stewardship will lead us into the next year with many good and positive outcomes. And, I just wanted to say staff, our WeHo staff, they are amazing people. They do a great job. They're good at what they do. They know what they do. And if they go out and make an inspection, they're going to write it up and do their job. They're going to do what they're supposed to do. So I trust our city staff because they are the professional ones. So thank you. That concludes my comments.
Okay, Commissioner Yusupov.
Yeah, I wanted to thank my colleagues for nominating me. I want to thank Chair Eisenberg with nomination and election as chair. Thank you. We'll try to do even better job. And I wanted to thank staff. And also, if I I guess if another contentious item comes in front of the commission, maybe we can consult with the attorney, or maybe we can do timeout or something, that so it becomes a little less messier, so we kind of know what we can and cannot do. And that would probably limit the times the commission has to decline applications and make the entire meeting process more smooth and efficient. So if there's an option for either a brief timeout like we did last time, or maybe something before the meeting, that would be great, especially when we have a contentious item in front of us. Yeah.
We would respond as staff, Vice Chair Yusupov, that the study session item in August will help provide some clarity on the roles and purview and responsibilities of the commission, so that when you're faced with some of these applications in the future, that you have clarity on how to proceed. And we think that that will greatly assist the commission as well as staff in moving these items fairly expeditiously through our process in a business manner.
Got it. Thanks.
I think something that might be, sorry, Chair.
Go ahead.
I think something that might be helpful is if staff can go over with the commission BLO 5.52.040 for the extended hours, item number 7. That clearly states the commission has the authority to add other conditions as necessary. So I think staff, if you expand on that, because I couldn't find anything in the ordinance when I looked it up that limits what can or cannot be done with item number 7, since it's already codified in the code. So I guess that would be a good idea for us to have more expansion on number 7, because I think that was kind of the topic for tonight.
The confusion.
Yeah.
Happy to do it.
So, thank you.
Okay. Is that everybody? I have some comments. And it directly pertains to last meeting's extended hour request and the one tonight. I don't know if this is a motion or something to be agenda, but is it one of the...
It's not a motion at this point.
No. A discussion. One of the things last time was brought up was that it was a decision for the city council. And one of the questions we asked were how many businesses had extended hours. I was wondering if we could make a request, and I don't know if this needs to be made as a motion or agendized and then discussed to make a request, that we can ask the city council to have a study on how many businesses do have extended hours and how many they would like approve. You know, there should be a limit on how many businesses, because we were concerned last time that once we opened it up to iHeart, that a lot of the other clubs and restaurants are going to ask for extended hours. So do we want, before we make a decision, it's not this commission's purview to grant them to every business that asks. There should be some sort of direction from the city council on how many extended hour venues would be appropriate for a district, whether it's the Boys Town, the Rainbow District, or the Sunset Boulevard Club District. I think we need some direction from the council on, and the city staff as well, on how many would be approved overall. You know, I assume it's first come, first serve, and if a business closes, they lose it, someone else on the list. But we should know if there's everyone who comes before, are we going to grant them, or does the city staff and the council want to limit to how many a particular area should have? How should that be presented?
So this suggestion needs to be supported by a majority of the commission tonight for this item to be agendized at a future meeting that staff would bring back to you.
Okay, does that
This
require
item.
a motion at this point?
I believe, well, it's not on the agenda for action. This is a request by the commission.
To agendize it? No?
Right, you can't vote on it tonight, but
Do we have support?
if you'd like to chime in on that.
Do we have
Grace, go
support
ahead.
to put it on the agenda?
as long as we have a majority consensus from the commission tonight, staff will bring it back at your next meeting.
Do we need a roll call?
No, I think it's
The nod of the head is okay?
I think so.
Okay. Okay.
Because this is not an item on the agenda, so therefore it doesn't require a vote, as Manager Adamitis was mentioning. So just by nodding of head, that's general consensus, and then we'll look into it and bring something back.
Was it clear what I was trying to ask?
Yes.
Okay. And then also, I would like to thank my fellow commissioners for nominating me as chair. I appreciate the confidence you have in me. And I would also like to congratulate Commissioner Yusperov for his nomination as well. So thank you for all of that. So moving on, do we have any adjournment motions? I do. I lost one of my neighbors of 30 years on June 8th, and I would just like to adjourn in his name. Sorry. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Commissioner Meister is going to make a more formal adjournment at the next city council meeting, but I would just like to acknowledge, excuse me, I'm very emotional. Gary Sokol, who's my neighbor in my building for 30 years. He's was a resident of West Hollywood for 35 years. He was a very talented television producer and writer. He has a number of shows. He worked for E! For many years, and you've probably seen a lot of the specials that he produced. And then he started a second chapter, and he published a number of books that were filled with humor and wit and had a lot of good reviews that are available on Amazon. And Gary was a beloved member of the Horn Plaza community, as was his dog Rufus, who he adored. He could be seen day and night walking his dog around the building. And his dog, I would just like to say, he was a rescue dog, and Gary was devoted to him, and we have found a new home for Rufus in the Horn Plaza community. So just like to adjourn in that. Sorry about that. Okay, anything else? I think that will close the hearing.